Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, everybody, function.
Okay. Some people say things like ignorance is bliss, or what we don't know can't hurt us. But through reviewing some experiences in my life, I've found that those statements are pretty false. Especially when it comes to the food I'm eating, as far as ignorance. For example, good carbs, bad carbs, low carb, no carb. What's it all mean and why does any of it matter? Different carbohydrates affect our bodies in different ways. Today we'll learn how carbohydrates are broken down, discover how the breakdown affects our health, and explore some carbohydrates that are more and less beneficial. So how are carbohydrates broken down? Before they can be used by our bodies, the carbohydrates have to be broken down through digestion. Much about this topic I learned from Harvard-educated Dr. Andrew Weil. So imagine the chemical makeup of a carbohydrate as a string of pearls. Monosaccharides, also known as simple sugars, are the most basic of carbohydrates and would be the individual pearls. They provide the body with most of its energy. And both the pearls and the sugars are linked together by these bonds here. The individual pearls are bonded together to form the necklace, and the monosaccharides combine to form a complex carbohydrate. Digestion breaks down the bonds between each individual monosaccharide, and how quickly or slowly the bonds dissolve is how quickly or slowly the sugars enter our bloodstream. Okay? Too much or too little sugar in the bloodstream at any time can be harmful. So how quickly the bonds are broken determine how slowly or quickly the pearls and the sugars are released into our blood and at what rate. So say the necklace has 60 pearls on it, and the carbohydrate has 60 simple sugars linked together. Cutting the necklace one bond at a time, say once every minute, is similar to the carbohydrate breaking down and dissolving slowly. The pearls would hit the ground one pearl at a time, and the carbohydrate would break down one simple sugar at a time, entering our bloodstream. So over an hour, at 1 unit at a time, the sugars would enter our blood relatively slowly. Now if we ripped apart this necklace, or the carbohydrate was quickly dissolved and the sugars would come into our blood, it would spike our blood sugar, and that can cause a whole host of problems. So now that we've learned how carbohydrates break down in our bodies, let's discover how the breakdown affects our health. The rate of carbohydrate digestion has an important role in our health. And according to the Mayo Clinic website, when blood sugar levels are significantly above healthy levels, hyperglycemia results. It's got some negative effects, including fatigue and headaches early on, but if it's not taken care of, it can lead to the person going into a coma. And hypoglycemia is when the blood sugar levels are significantly below what they should be. The negative effects of that can be as moderate as confusion or problems with vision, or can even be as bad as seizures or loss of consciousness. In order for our body to use the energy that the sugars provide, they have to be absorbed into our cells. Insulin is released by the pancreas and triggers the sugar absorption, which lowers the amount of sugar in the blood. Consistently eating carbohydrates that break down very quickly can cause the pancreas to become overworked and can lead to insufficient amounts of insulin production, or even insulin that is ineffective at triggering that absorption of the sugar. This disorder is known as insulin resistance. Type 2 diabetics are unable to maintain the balance between too high and too low sugar levels. So we've discovered how the breakdown of carbohydrates can affect our health. Let's see which carbohydrates are more and less beneficial. There are certain foods to avoid because of their adverse effect on our blood sugar levels. It's important to eat complex carbohydrates that have a slow, sustained release of energy and minimally affect the blood sugar levels. We can add some good carbs and subtract some bad carbs, or substitute some of the bad with good. According to Dr. Weil's book, Eating Well for Optimal Health, some foods that offer the quickest breakdown of carbohydrate are white bread, pasta, pizza, candy, and Coca-Cola, or any other sugary loaded drink. And we probably don't need to be a nutritionist, a dietitian, or a doctor to realize that pop and candy aren't the best or the healthiest choices for us. OptimalFoods.org offers some healthier carbohydrates. Foods such as barley, rolled oats, quinoa, beans, or even almond milk have a little effect on the blood sugar levels. Now, I know those options don't seem like the most appetizing necessarily, but it can quickly become the new norm, especially if our lives are depending on it. These substitutions can contribute to a more balanced blood sugar level and decrease the risk of type 2 diabetes. Some certain things we can do: drink more water. Water contains no simple sugars, so it has no effect on our blood sugar, rather than the sugary sodas and the fruit drinks. Instead of a white russet potato, we can try sweet potatoes, basmati rice over white rice, and whole grain bread over white or even refined wheat bread. The fibrous cell walls of these foods slow down the rate of digestion and therefore slow the rate of blood sugar increase. These substitutions can make a major difference in our health. So today we learned how carbohydrates are broken down in the body, discovered how the breakdown affects our health, and explored some of the carbohydrates that are more and less beneficial. So different carbohydrates affect our bodies in different ways. So what we don't know can hurt us. Hypo and hyperglycemia hurt. Type 2 diabetes hurts. It kills. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is pain. However, having the knowledge is only potential power. The real power comes from using what we know.